So the United States Supreme Court recently weighed in on immigration by basically deciding not to weigh in on immigration. The justices decided not to hear out a Trump administration request on several court cases in New York and California on whether he can end the DACA program. That leaves in place these lower court decisions in New York and California. And those court decisions have basically made a March 5th deadline to deport Dreamers or to have them lose their status moot. Where does that leave Dreamers, besides in legal limbo? Right now, it means that the administration has to continue to accept renewed applications. So if you're already in the Dreamer program, and estimates say there's about 700,000 people in this country who are protected by this program, you can still continue to reapply. If you're not in the Dreamer program already, you're out of luck at this point. The Trump administration is not continuing this program, and no court has ordered them to. All of this stays in legal limbo while the court cases in New York and California are still ongoing, which could take months or years. In the meantime, Dreamers don't really have a sense of what their future holds or when their protected status, if they have one, might end. Of course, Congress hasn't necessarily given up on trying to come up with a deal. Most members in Congress, arguably a majority, including Republicans and Democrats, don't want to see Dreamers deported. But Congress has spent months and months and months trying to come up with an agreement. They don't have one. President Trump could decide to move forward the deadline. But the court cases have already made that deadline moot. And it's also would arguably be kind of a political headache for the president to do something he criticized the past administration for doing. If courts decide in favor of the Trump administration, then technically the Trump administration can start deporting Dreamers. Again, that might be a political headache for them. This is a largely sympathetic group to Americans and would cost a lot of money. It'd be really impractical. So the fourth potential outcome of this Dreamer legal and legislative limbo is that when this is all said and done, they kind of fade into the shadows. The immigration experts I spoke to say this is probably the most likely scenario where whatever openness this group of immigrants enjoyed would eventually end. Fifth and final option is the courts in New York and California decide that the Trump administration did arbitrarily set a March 5th deadline. From there, it's not clear how the courts would remedy that. And once again, we find ourselves in limbo here in Washington for what happens to those Dreamers.